Okay, welcome to today's show. I'm so excited that you're here with me today because today I have a collection of a great group of modulars. These are historical modulars. They're all retired. This is part 2 of my series of the history of the Lego Modular. If you want to watch part 1 about the classics, then you can go and click on the link there in the description. I've grouped these together for a very specific reason because they represent a distinct time period of the development of the Lego Modular, and I call this the golden age of the modular. This is where I think the modular hit its stride, where it was really doing well, where it was open and free, and it had allowed all this expression both for the designers and for the builders and for the players. But let's take a closer look at what defines this section of Lego history as the golden age of the modular. So let me go ahead and throw that up there. If you recall, the classic age, they were the brand new lines of buildings. Now this would have been the Market Street, it would have been the Green Grocer, and it would have been the Cafe Corner. So those ones, they were brand new. Lego was really trying to get their legs underneath them. They were cool exteriors, no interiors. The last two, the Market Street and the Green Grocer, were designed specifically off of the row house style of building. And after retirement, they just ignited this collector investor frenzy. Now, starting in 2009, when the Fire Brigade was released, they decided to design municipal buildings. They decided to design things that were stores, not homes. Yes, I know the pet shop sort of is a weird one amongst the set, but besides that, they were all not designed as the row house, so they were doing something different. And of course, when they introduced this one, when they introduced the Fire Brigade, yes, I know the Fire Brigade before the Grand Emporium, but it doesn't quite fit in the block that way, so that's why I put the Grand Emporium down at the end. When they released the Fire Brigade, it was so different from all the others that Lego got all this nasty mail. You've ruined this modular. You're doing this great thing with the Green Grocer, and now you put out this Fire Brigade. It looks awful. Oh, it's, people were complaining. It was so different. It was a distinct break from those classics. Now we were in a new age of the modular. So the interior of these buildings, now they started to have an interior, whereas before they didn't. It was an interior that explained what was going on in the building, but it wasn't so cramped, so tight that you didn't have room to play. So you could add in things. One of the things my daughter liked to do with these buildings, and you notice some of these buildings aren't in perfect shape. Some are dusty, some may be missing a piece because they have been out at my house, they have been played with. She put beds in like every single room because the people had to have places to sleep, right? So there's room to do that. There's room to create your own stuff on the insides of these buildings. They were a diverse architectural style. You can see these architectural styles are all completely different, yet they don't really go with each other specifically. But when you put them all together, they really do make a really interesting, cool, nice looking block. And then after the Palace Cinema here, there is a new architectural style, and that is with the Parisian restaurant. That take a clean cut and took the Lego Modular off in a completely different direction. So these 5 sort of stand alone as their defined block of what I think are just the best modulars that Lego has put out. And another thing that defines them is how long they were out. So let's take a look at that graph, and you can see that's the graph of every single modular that's been released. You can see the first 3, those classics, more closer to the 2-year time span. As soon as they hit the Fire Brigade, Lego said, these are great, these are selling a lot, let's extend that thing out there. So started to do 4, 5 years, except for the Town Hall, which was short, but you can see a long availabilities. And then again, another sign of that break, starting with the Parisian restaurant. Now the modulars are released on the 1st of the year, right in order, whereas before they were sort of random. Here's one in October, here's one in March, here's one in April, right? You never knew quite when they were going to come out. Now, starting with the Parisian restaurant, every January 1st is when the next one comes out. So again, another break between these and what comes afterwards. And if we just look at the numbers there, you can see that the Market Street, 1.5 years, Cafe Corner, 2 years, Green Grocer, 2.5 years, and then the others, as soon as you get to the Fire Brigade, are much, much longer. All right, but enough talking about all that. Let's take a look at these a little bit closer. So we'll go ahead and I'm going to rearrange these a little bit because we're going to look at them from the top so you can really see how the insides have developed, how the insides have changed. So let's go ahead and do that now. All right, here we are looking from above. Now, since these have been out on display, since my kids have played with them, not everything may be exactly where it's supposed to be. You can see I have all the little pegs up here because they're not actually all stuck together down below. So let's get an idea of what sort of interior you get with this new breed of modular in this golden age. So we'll start with the Fire Brigade because it was the first. And you can see that you have something that's very thematic. It all follows the same theme of just a firehouse. And you have some nice little interior elements there. And then my favorite, the Grand Emporium. You know, yes, it does look a touch sparse up here, but it has this great chandelier. Again, lots of room for people to do creative things, do what you want as a builder. And then the pet shop here and the pet shop here. This one, of course, is quite a bit different than the others in that they have much smaller spaces and it is not all a unified structure. And then take off the town hall. Of course, the town hall has this cool little elevator function that they have here. That's pretty neat with the groom and the kid. Again, nice little meeting room, plenty of space here. It looks like everyone's here having a meeting. And then lastly, the Palace Cinema with the movie theater. So you can see generally good interiors, space to do stuff, very much themed about what it is the whole building is about. Now let's go ahead and we'll just go around and just keep on going down. This one I'll take off just so it's level with the others. Go ahead and take that one off to get a little bit more down into the Grand Emporium. We'll take the top of the firehouse off. Come on off of there. So you can see the fire truck, and then the tops of the pet shop here. There we go. Get them all done. Again, interesting, not overly complex interiors here with generally good thematic elements. Now the Fire Brigade is done. That's because it has a really tall first floor. But we can take this one off to see the first floor of the town hall and the first floor of the... Oh, there's all this stuff. I was wondering where all these went to. Here are the spotlights and all the stuff for the Palace Cinema. Again, you can look at the Grand Emporium there. That is all done. And lastly, the pet shop here with its little space. So there you go. So you get a general idea, and that's one of the biggest differences between what you see here and what you're going to get in the next age of the modular, is that you have these generally open spaces that are all very thematic based on what it is the building is supposed to do. Whereas when you go into the next age, you're going to get very tight, very small spaces that are highly, highly detailed, but very hard to do anything with. So there you go. So there's the inside. Now let's go ahead and take a look at the outsides. All right, now that you've had a chance to look at the inside, let's take a closer look at the outsides of these buildings and see how the styles have developed. Now we'll start here down with the Green Grocer and the Fire Brigade, and you can see one of the new things that they've continued to expand on is these decorative cornices that they have at the tops of the buildings. It seems like every building has to come up with a new creative way, well, exception, a new creative way to do this top edge of the building, some new building technique, some crazy new way to use a piece. That is one of the defining architectural building techniques, is that cornice of the building, and you'll see that all the way through the new ones as well. Besides that, they really are working on the exterior detailing, and again, they've really honed in on what makes a great exterior on these buildings. And what do you get for these buildings? Now let's talk a little bit about the value that you get. The modulars have always provided a really good value by almost any calculation that you can make. So I went ahead and did a little calculation, so we'll throw that up there. You can see these modulars are all priced the same, except for the town hall, which was much bigger. And you can see the piece count, fairly similar, except for the Palace Cinema that got up there, and of course the town hall, because it was much bigger. And the weight, again, just the town hall because it was bigger. But if you look at that value, the value per pound that you get for what you're buying, you can see very consistent. 25, 23, 24, 24, 25, all very good numbers for the value that you're getting for the bulk of what you're paying for here. And so the average for these ones is about $24 a pound for what you get. And if you compare that to the classics, those first three, the Cafe Corner, the Market Street, and the Green Grocer, you're paying $23 per pound for that. So again, very similar. Even though this is spanning almost 8 years of time here, the value has stayed really, really good. And you can see how consistent that price is. Now, when you get to the palette or the Parisian restaurant, the prices start to change. Things start to change again because that's another break that we have in this line of stuff. And what about the values? What about this collector craze that happened for those first three? Did it continue into these? Because people still really like them, but they were available for so long. What did that do in the collector and the investor market? So let's take a look at that. And you can see the first three, the Market Street, the Cafe Corner, the Green Grocer, crazy, crazy values for new in box. Of course, most of them are not going to be new in box. Most of them will be used, but still even the used prices are way up there. You can just see how much they're worth now, even today. But then as soon as you get to the availability of the Fire Brigade, available for 4 years, the value has gone way, way down by comparison, but still, new in box has almost doubled in value still, even though they were available for such an incredibly long time. So the Grand Emporium or the Fire Brigade and the Grand Emporium have both about doubled in value. The pet shop, again, out for a very long time, has not done quite so much. The town hall, which retired, do you remember, after only 2.5 years, has done really well. Again, that was just such a surprise that it retired. So the availability of the town hall really is much less than any of these other ones. And then the Palace Cinema is your most recent one to retire. And you can, again, see that it's gone up in value. The used ones are still going to hold their value. The used ones are still going to be worth probably pretty close to what you paid for them, which is always great from the collector standpoint. But you can see that the modular building just not the same like those first three. Of course, Lego collecting investing is not the same as it was in 2007, 2008. That's just a whole different era to begin with. But the best thing to do with the modulars these days is I like to buy extras and I like to use them for trading because people absolutely love the modulars and they love these old modulars. So I trade them for other sets, for other used sets. I trade new for used. So I often increase my value in that way. And it's really, really easy to sell or trade a modular because people just love them. They love to fill in these, especially because they're not so expensive. Even if they're paying, $250 or $300 for one of these older ones, that's not so outrageously crazy as $800 or $1,000 for the Green Grocer or the Market Street. So there you go. So this is what I consider the golden age of the modulars. My very favorite modular is the Grand Emporium. I just think the Grand Emporium really embodies everything that is so great about the modular. It has great interior spaces. It's this nice corner building. It has nice decoration. It has extra stuff going on. It has the billboard. It has the guy washing the windows. Right? It has this extra stuff going on. That has been by far my very favorite modular of them all, especially of this series. I just love the Grand Emporium. So part 3 that hopefully will come up here pretty soon, as long as I don't get too busy with other stuff, is going to be the next age, the Art Nouveau age of the modular, a completely new direction. After maybe Lego had spent all their ideas on this, they start to do something else, and I will review that hopefully in not too long. So until next time, thanks for watching. Lego on.